Hi guys, in this video I would like to give you a little preview of the Audit and Assurance exam. This is because you will soon get to realize how predictable your favorite subject is, or the exam on your favorite subject, let's say. And when I say predictable, yes, I do mean predictable. We know what the format will be like, we know what will be examined on it, and we do know what the questions would look like as well. That's at least for the majority of what is there in our exam. And that is for every single sitting with Audit and Assurance. Yet, this is the exam that has one of the lowest pass rates globally across the whole of ACCA qualification. And no guys, don't feel scared, I'm not telling you this to put you off. I'm telling you this simply because I want to help you become part of that happy 40-something% that make it through. But you know, the reason for that low pass rate normally hides in three main things. One of them is the fact that many students prepare poorly at home for their exam, and that is often combined with the second reason, which is the lack of understanding both of the subject matter as well as the challenge that this exam represents. And last but not least, the third reason is the poor exam technique and poor time management combined with it. So on our course, we will work towards you mastering all of these to give you the best chance of passing. But I do believe that if you do get to see and understand what the challenge ahead of you is from the very beginning, it will be easier for you to understand why we are doing the things we are doing in the way we are doing them. It would make you practice them in the way I tell you, because you know that this would be the way they will be in your exam, and yes, that will greatly improve your chances of passing. So let me take you to the ACCA practice platform, where we will have a quick look at the specimen exam. We will not be attempting it, of course, because at that stage we haven't learned anything about that, but I do want you to see what your exam will look like. Okay, so here we are on the practice platform, and let me remind you friends that our favorite subject, Audit and Assurance, in the exam has only two sections, Section A and Section B. Section A is the one with the objective testing, and remember, this one doesn't have the simple multiple choice questions. It's the one with the scenarios, so you've got 3 scenarios and each scenario has 5 questions attached to it. Okay, so just a very quick look at what that looks like. It's nothing new to you. You know, you've got on the left the scenario, you've got on the right half of your screen the question that you have to answer. Remember, objective testing doesn't equal automatically to multiple choice. So some questions will require you to drag and drop like this, your answers. Others, of course, will have the MCQ type, like this one. Also, don't forget to scroll all the way down to your page, because if you don't do it and you just try to click, let's say you answer and then you try to click on next, they might stop you from doing that if you haven't seen all of that question. This question we've seen it all, but once we go to the other one that we haven't answered at all yet and read, can you see? If you haven't scrolled all the way down to the page, you know that you'll get that pop-up window asking you to go back and do it. Alright, so I'm telling you that again, yeah, because I know that it does become annoying when you're under time pressure and when you keep getting this message. So please make sure you get into good habits from the beginning if you don't have them yet from your other subjects that you've been sitting before your favorite Audit and Assurance. Okay, but I really talking about predictability and what the format is like and what the questions are like, I want to take you to Section B, which is the written section, the one with the 3 long questions. So we go to there, okay, Section B. You know, the first question will be the longest one, the 30-mark question, then you've got 2 20-markers, and none of them has one requirement that's worth that many marks. They're all split into parts. So let's have a look. You know, those 3 questions will cover the 3 key topics and occasionally something else. Now, look at this. They do have some knowledge requirements in them, and that is like part A, for example, to this question, which is asking us to explain audit risk and the components of audit risk. We do have a scenario on the left but we are told kindly by the examiner that we don't have to refer to that scenario when answering the question. So please guys, don't you ever make any attempts to link your answer to the scenario when you've got this specific note by the examiner. You would be shocked by the fact that many students miss that little bit and they mess up big time in their exam, yeah? But anyway, that is pure knowledge. So in the word processor field, that's where we type our points, and as any word processor we've got some options here similar to Word document. My advice, as I will show you later, is to plan your answer. You can use your bullet points to put your ideas in, so you can have them like this with bullet points, or you can have them as numbers if you want to count how many, because we know that one good point is 1 mark, yeah? So you may want to number them like this and maybe say audit risk like this. You're just planning, then you say something else, maybe inherent risks. That's something that you don't know yet, so I don't want to go into any detail, but I just want to demonstrate to you. So you plan your points like this, okay? Let's pretend you've got those points there. You need 5 of them, yeah? You plan them, then you are ready to write, so you can convert them into bullet points rather than numbers. What you do then is you go underneath the point that you want to explain and you type your explanation. You go under the next one that you find easiest to explain, pretend is this one, you type your explanation. Then you go under this one and you type your explanation. And look how beautiful your answer starts to look. And presumably you would have written proper sentences here, so you will end up with a heading and a sentence that relates to the heading that gives you the mark. So that's how you answer the written requirements, yes? And as I said, the knowledge doesn't relate to the scenario. Fantastic. Okay, you will have some knowledge, not too much though, no more than roughly around 30% of the marks in your exam in general, yeah? So let's say we've seen part A, and notice that was 5 marks only. Audit risk, yes, one of the key topics. Now we are ready to go into the next part of the question. And that one, part B, look, that one is longer, that one is big, 14 marks, and that is practical application marks. These marks will come all from the scenario, yeah? And in this situation, the examiner wants you to put your answer in a table. There are certain question types in which you will have to answer in a tabular format. I'll be telling you about them during our course. And as you can see, audit risk, the first of the 3 key topics, is one of those. In those situations, the table is already prepared for you. You don't need to use this facility to make it, yeah? So all you have to do is, based on what the requirement is asking for, you read the scenario and you drop in your points. You know already from other exams that you can highlight here. Let's say that you want to highlight the year end, yeah, which is always important in our favorite subject. You know how to do that. Let's say you want to copy an audit risk into your table, so you highlight the bit you want to copy, Control and C. Then you go into your table, Control and V, and there it is, okay? So these things help us save time. These things with the highlighting help us to make the essential things stick out for us. And while this is not new to us, what is new is that audit risk questions for audit risk and response will always require you to put your answer in the table that will be provided. So you can copy and paste into your table, and then you can type your further explanation. Okay? Always many marks. Expect many marks on that. Yes? It can be 14, it can be 16. Yes, you can sometimes be asked to calculate ratios as well, but we'll talk about that in another video. That is the practical application of audit risk to the scenario. Then we're still in the long 30-mark question. Part C, this one is a mix between knowledge and application. They're asking us to identify main areas which should be included within the audit strategy. That is knowledge, what audit strategy is, what normally goes in it. And then they're saying for each area, provide an example relevant to the audit. So you've got 4 marks in total, no table. You could put the table yourself if you wish. Yes? So you can create a table and you could make it look like this if you want, if you think that this will make it easier for you to answer the question. So let's say audit strategy you can put in here. So what goes in audit strategy? contents, and then you can put example, and here you can explain one thing that goes in the audit strategy. It's going to be blah 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 blah, and example for the company in the question is this. If you wish, you don't have to though, you can still use the bullet points if you wanted. So you plan 4 marks for bullet points, type underneath them just like we did in part A. It's up to you. Okay, so this table is optional, you don't have to create it always, but in situations like this where you've got something and an example of that, you may want to do it. You can bold it, as you know, if you wish to make it look better, but that's not essential. Alright, can you see a little bit of knowledge and again more application? We're still in the first question. Okay, now we've gone to parts D and E. So part D says explain the difference between an interim and final audit. No table here, no, we just have to type our answer. Again, I would say use your bullet points to plan and type underneath them. Notice this is knowledge, isn't it? The difference between two parts, two stages of the audit. But look, only 3 marks for the knowledge. And then explain in the next part the procedures which are likely to be performed during the interim audit of the company and the impact this would have on the final audit. So here you can't just make up any general stuff. Again, that requires more application. And with this we are done with the first question. Can you see the 30-mark question was split into those 5 requirements, and because it's 30 marks, yes, you can expect a few parts to be inside this question. Sometimes the 30-mark question is on audit risk, sometimes it's on another topic like internal controls, but you know that the first of the long questions will be a 30-marker, and you know that the topic of audit risk is most definitely going to be examined for many marks, a little bit of knowledge regarding audit planning and audit risk, and a lot of application. Okay, now let's have a look at the second long question in written section B. We're told this relates to 4 requirements, and when you have a look, again, obviously you have the scenario on the left and the questions on the right. When you have a look, you will see this is about internal controls. Yes, the second of the key topics that will always be in our exam for many marks and always for many practical marks. Let's have a look at how many marks we've got on offer here. Oh, look at that, my friends. A 20-mark question and 18 marks come from the application on internal controls. Practical application relating to the scenario, and we've got to do 3 different things. One is to find 6 control deficiencies, then second thing, recommend an improvement, a control to improve on those, and third thing, we have to come up with 6 tests of control. So again, can you see the table is here? The examiner wants us to put our answer inside this table. So similar to what I showed you in audit risk, when you find, let's say, a deficiency, what you can do is not just highlight it. Of course you can highlight it so it sticks out, but you can also copy, and you should copy and paste the deficiency inside your table to help you score at least half a mark for that, and from there take it further in your explanations. Okay, and you know you're absolutely guaranteed a question, a long question on internal controls for many marks. It could vary slightly in what they ask you, whether they would ask about deficiency and recommendation, or sometimes they will ask you about something else, which I'll tell you again about direct controls, that's what they're called, but still internal controls, our knowledge and understanding and the ability to apply that. Sometimes you get 2 requirements, 2 practical requirements, not for 18 marks each, obviously, for slightly less marks each, and the total on internal controls in terms of practical marks can come up to even 20. All very exciting, isn't it? And the best thing is we know that this is coming, we know our questions are going to look like this, and we know how to answer them in the best possible way. That's what I will teach you in our course. Okay, moving on to part B, only 2 marks, and that is for substantive procedures. Substantive procedures is the third of the 3 key topics, the topic on audit evidence and substantive testing. So here, our typical, you can use the bullet points, whichever of them you wish, plan the 2 procedures, then type underneath, and you are sorted. All right, and then that leaves us with the third of the long questions, the third 20 marker, and you might have guessed already that this third 20 marker will be on the third key topic, mainly on substantive procedures. Yes, audit evidence, and now we've got here the scenario relating to 4 requirements. We're given here the scenario, not super long, okay? Then we type here part A, explaining factors regarding something, okay? So type 5 marks, plan 5 ideas, type underneath them. Part B, describe the substantive procedures the auditor should perform on something. 6 marks. So from the bullet points here, we plan for 6 ideas, we type underneath them. Then we move on to part C. Describe the substantive procedures again. 4 marks. Can you see? There you go. So more application. This is not just pure knowledge, because we are given here those little scenarios, and those substantive procedures relate to the scenarios. So we have to again apply, not just reproduce something that we have pre-learned here. Okay, so substantive procedures are guaranteed quite a few marks, as you can see on that. And then we're left with the final requirement of the 4. Most often the final few marks will relate to the topic of audit reports, and they would give you something roughly around 5 marks, just like in this situation. So the audit reports topic will feature in your exam, but not for that many marks like the key topics, which is why I don't include it as a key topic in my plan. However, 5 marks are 5 marks. Who wouldn't want to get them? Yes, and especially knowing that this is coming. So can you see, this here is asking us to explain some steps that they would take and the impact on the auditor's report in relation to some action by the directors. Again, can you see, we didn't actually have to do any calculations. We don't have to use Excel in our favorite subject. That could be helpful, and definitely, especially at least when it comes to time pressure. So we type like on Word, so you don't really necessarily have to practice on TestReach, on the ACCA practice platform, all your answers, because the functionality of this word processor is incredibly similar to the functionality of a Word document. So you can do it wherever you prefer. Obviously, you want to practice quite a few questions on the practice platform, but you don't have to practice all of them, not like with some other subjects where you've got to do complex calculations on Excel. You need to use formulae and so on, and workings to be shown. Here, you don't have to do that. And you don't even need the scratch pad, even though it's available to you. You don't have to use it really, because you can type here any ideas you've got, and you can easily delete them if you want to get rid of anything. It only takes you seconds, and that would be seen by the examiner, while the scratch pad, by the marker scratch pad, doesn't get seen. So if you put something good on it and you forget to bring it inside your answer, you will not get your marks, the credit for your good work. So that's what your exam looks like, guys. That's what all of them look like. Tiny variations here and there, but the 3 key topics are there. Controls and audit risk always in a table you have to answer, and all those 3 key topics always for many marks. I will teach you in our course some very helpful techniques as to how you can answer those and score really well within the limited time you have.